Hey Fox Nation, Andy Irwin here, one of the Irwin brothers, filmmakers behind movies like I Can Only Imagine and I Still Believe. I can't wait to show you something from our new film, The Jesus Music. This film is a documentary detailing the history of Christian contemporary music and the origins of it. It's a story that's near and dear to our hearts, and we're so excited to share it with you. And this clip that you're about to see is one of the heroes of our faith, Billy Graham, who was very instrumental in launching a lot of the music that we love so much. And one of those artists that he really launched into a whole new realm of influence was DC Talk. And this is a moment that happened in the early 90s that when I heard this story, it gave me chills. Can't wait for you to see it. Enjoy this clip from The Jesus Music in theaters October 1st.
And the king bowed down before them because three young men dared stand alone.
Billy says, if we're going to reach the next generation, we got to change the programming up. And we're going to have a rock concert, basically.
I was always thinking to myself, okay, we're going to come in, these young cats, bouncing all over the stage, sweatpants on and hats turned sideways. Okay, they do know what we do, right?
It was met with lots of opposition. It did not sit well. I think there were a lot of people that thought he was not making the right decision. But Billy was adamant, said we got to do it. October 1994, Cleveland Stadium. There were 85,000 kids in the stadium. I remember showing up and like, wow, we are making history. Me and DC Talk at a Billy Graham crusade. And then all of a sudden, Billy walks up to the podium and the place just explodes. Billy gave one of the most compelling sermons I've ever heard him preach.
He read the lyrics to the hard way as part of his message. Toby had just finished that song, and it just absolutely tore him apart. Toby cried, man, I cried thinking about it. I thought, man, I'm walking on stage right now with Billy Graham, who I saw as a kid. It was overwhelming.
I cried, I started crying, Toby's crying, and it was like a dream. It was surreal. And then I thought, this is the first of many. So here we go.
What we were doing, it said so much to people across the world. He turned the page for all of us when it comes to music and how we can express ourselves in the arts. We don't have to do it the way it was done before. We can do it the way we want to do it. And Billy Graham said, that's valuable.
One of the fastest growing facets of Christian music has been worship music. And this is a music that has just really swept the globe over the past 2 decades. It's a music that has just been a growing phenomenon. It's been exciting to see. It was really cool to sit down with our good friend Mike Louis Smith and hear his unique perspective of being on the ground floor and seeing this music emerge and find its voice. Enjoy this clip from The Jesus Music in theaters October 1st.
Okay, so here's where I just feel like that this has got to be a component of what we stand for and what we believe. I can't stand your religious meetings. I'm fed up with your conferences and conventions. I want nothing to do with your religion projects, your pretentious slogans and goals. I'm sick of your fundraising schemes, your public relations and image making. I've had all I can take of your noisy ego music. That got my attention. When was the last time you sang to me? Do you know what I want? I want justice, oceans of it. I want fairness, rivers of it. That's all I want. That's all I want. I'll never forget it. It was a night back in early 2001 and I was dead asleep. All of a sudden, I wake up in the middle of the night and I hear the voice of God say to me, for such a time as this. And it felt like God was telling me to make this album, this worship album. And I remember wrestling with God. I remember just going, I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna do it. Because I was working on these pop songs and worship was not really on my radar. And I just blew it off, and like a week or two later, I woke up literally wide awake and heard these almost audible, just going, for such a time as this. I just wrestled with it and I blew it off, and 3 weeks later I heard it again in a really, really loud voice. For such a time as this. Daggone it. All right, I'm gonna do it. I said, I'm gonna make this first worship album. I said, here's my idea. I want every artist who'll do it to drop their egos at the door and come and be in the choir. So we all went to Lakeland, Florida, chartered 3 private planes and flew all these people down there. Amy, Phillips, Craig and Dean, Cindy Morgan was there. We got halfway through it, I was just hanging on. I was not in charge. I'm literally, I don't have the reins in my hand. I do not have the reins in my hand.
The recording of that record was the most powerful concert experience that I've ever been a part of. It was just, everybody knew we had captured something really, really special.
I remember going backstage and sitting down with everybody, and we all just started crying. It's kind of like, what just happened out there? What just happened out there? The crazy thing is that record came out on 9/11. Slated release for worship was September 11th, 2001.
Wow. Do you think that was for such a time as this?
I think it was. There was something about that record, 9/11. I think it was a go-to for people.
I'm coming back to the heart of worship. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I made. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I made. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus.
There's something about those songs on that first worship album and what they say, like The Heart of Worship. I think it was one of the greatest songs that Matt Redman has written.
And you're redoing that record how many years later?
20 years later.
20 years later.
Yeah.
Fox Nation, it is our privilege to share this trailer for our upcoming film, The Jesus Music. Check it out.
This music offers people a sense of hope and a sense of togetherness and a sense of joy, maybe that they've not experienced.
But a lot of hymns are close your eyes singing to God. I wanted to sing with my eyes wide open, singing to each other.
This thing, Jesus Music, found its way in my hometown, and it changed my life.
When it comes to music and how we can express ourselves, we don't have to do it the way it was done before.
You want to find a loving way to have these conversations.
My generation had seen all of the civil unrest. Most of us were trying to escape the pain and the misery.
Where do we go from here?
You feel like something's in the wind.
This soundtrack emerges.
They had no idea they were helping to create an entire industry.
I saw contemporary Christian music born right before my very eyes.
You don't know you're a pioneer of something when you're doing it.
We were just doing what we loved.
You had grunge, and you had pop, and you had rock, and you had hip-hop.
There was so much great music going on. Everything felt so fresh and new.
What we were doing said so much across the world.
There was so much drama in the church.
Every setback, there would be a glimmer of hope.
Money, cultural influence, off the charts.
It's bigger than any one person or one artist.
music can sustain us in the toughest of times.
Yeah, there was tension. DC talk.
Here's the deal.
I've never shared this with anybody.
Would you change anything?
Let's not forget, music is God's idea.
I think music is the most powerful universal language in the world.
Music was a lifeline.
It became part of the fabric of who I was.
It pushed me to do some courageous things.
Touches the soul like somebody talking to you can't. And you can do all of that in 3.5 minutes.